Welcome to Module 6 on the multiplier. I would like to start with a famous quote from the father of macroeconomics, John Maynard Keynes, taken from chapter 24 of his book, The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. Quote, "The ideas of economists and political philosophers, both when they are right and when they are wrong, are more powerful than is commonly understood. Indeed, the world is ruled by little else. Practical men who believe themselves to be quite exempt from any intellectual influence are usually the slaves of some defunct economists. Madmen in authority, who hear voices in the air, are distilling their frenzy for some academic scribbler of a few years back." End of quote. I love that idea that economic theory, poorly interpreted by politicians and newspaper writers, is consistently and incorrectly used to interpret economic reality. Perhaps the most amusing part of this is that the most used and misused of these concepts is the concept of the multiplier, first introduced by John Maynard Keynes in his general theory. The idea that an initial change can create a much larger overall change in the economy. We're going to learn about the multiplier in this module. However, first we will explore what happened when aggregate expenditure changes, either due to an unplanned shock, such as a recession, or due to a planned shock, such as a purposeful government policy. How does the economy react to the shock? How does it adjust to the new equilibrium? And what is the impact of these total shocks? We will explore these things. As part of this analysis, we will introduce and critically analyze the key economic concept of the multiplier. The multiplier argues that these economic shocks get multiplied into larger economic effects than the original shock. Such effects can be used to help explain the sources and beginnings of recessions, but it also can be useful in explaining the role of government policy in ending these recessions. Of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, the multiplier is a concept that's taking on an entire mythical life of its own, as politicians swear by it and misuse it to justify no end of government spending. Every time you hear somebody say, "We do policy X, it's going to create 5 times as many jobs as the initial shock does," then they're using the concept of the multiplier. Every time they talk about leveraging something into a bigger impact, they're talking about the multiplier. Even though John Maynard Keynes was talking about other theories in his quotation, it's his own theory that has come to have the most powerful mythical effect in the macroeconomy.